Ever wondered how anger, a seemingly destructive emotion, influences your life? Anger, though often painted in hues of red and orange, fiery and fierce, can be a significant player in the drama of our daily lives. It's like an uninvited guest that shows up at the most inconvenient times, causing chaos and leaving a trail of destruction behind. This powerful emotion, when left unchecked, can lead to strained relationships, missed opportunities, and a general sense of dissatisfaction with life. Picture this: a disagreement with a colleague escalates into a heated argument. You're angry, they're angry, and before you know it, you're at loggerheads, neither of you willing to back down. This single moment of anger can cause a rift that takes weeks, even months, to mend. And it's not just about the relationships we have with others. Anger can make us our own worst enemy. It clouds our judgment, makes us act impulsively, and leads us to make decisions we might later regret. It's like trying to navigate through a thick fog. You can't see clearly and you're likely to stumble and fall. But it's not just our personal lives that suffer. Scientific studies have shown the negative impact of uncontrolled anger on our physical and mental health. A constant state of anger can lead to stress, anxiety, and even physical conditions such as high blood pressure and heart disease. It's like a poison that slowly seeps into every aspect of our lives, affecting our well-being and happiness. Yet despite its destructive nature, anger is a natural human emotion. It's a reaction to perceived threats or injustices, a defense mechanism designed to protect us. But too often we let this emotion control us rather than the other way around. So here's the million-dollar question. Can we harness this powerful emotion? Can we take this fiery, destructive force and mold it into something positive, something that propels us forward instead of holding us back? But what if we could harness this powerful emotion and transform it into something positive? To find the answer, we turn to the ancient Stoic philosophers who mastered the art of emotional control. Stoicism, a philosophy of personal ethics, was born in ancient Greece and later flourished in Rome. Its principles were simple yet profound, teaching that virtue, the highest form of goodness, is based on knowledge. Stoics believed that tranquility of mind and freedom from fear are achieved through the practice of reason and self-control. Anger, the Stoics believed, was a departure from reason, a fiery horse that pulls us away from our path of tranquility. They viewed anger not as an uncontrollable force, but as a reaction that can be understood and managed. It's like a visitor knocking at your door. You have the power to decide whether to let it in or not. Take, for example, the renowned Stoic philosopher Seneca. He saw anger as a short-term madness, a destructive force that blinds our reason. To him, it was essential to delay anger, to give reason a chance to regain control. He once said, "The best cure for anger is delay." Then there's Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher. He taught that our anger often arises not from the actions of others, but from our judgments about those actions. He wrote in his meditations, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." The Stoics understood that anger is not something that happens to us, but something that we choose. And if we can choose anger, we can also choose not to be angry. They knew that our emotions are not dictated by what happens to us, but by how we interpret what happens to us. In the face of adversity, the Stoics chose understanding over anger, reason over reaction. They saw every challenge as an opportunity for growth, every setback as a chance to practice patience and resilience. To them, the world was a training ground for character, a place to practice the virtues of courage, wisdom, justice, and self-control. These philosophers knew that anger, like any other emotion, can be controlled and transformed. Let's dive deeper into the wisdom of Seneca, a renowned Stoic philosopher who had much to say about anger. Seneca, a prominent Stoic philosopher, viewed anger as a form of temporary madness. To him, anger wasn't just another emotion, but a destructive force that could cloud our judgment and lead to regrettable actions. He believed that anger stemmed not from the actions of others, but from our own unrealistic expectations. In his works, Seneca offers a profound insight. We get angry because we expect the world and people around us to behave as we wish, and when they don't, we feel wronged. But how could we possibly control the actions of others? We can't. What we can control, however, is our own perspective. Seneca taught that by adjusting our expectations and accepting the world as it is, rather than how we wish it to be, we can mitigate the onset of anger. Imagine you're stuck in a traffic jam. You're furious, frustrated, and the clock is ticking. But what if you shifted your perspective? What if instead of focusing on the inconvenience, you viewed the traffic jam as an opportunity? An opportunity to listen to that podcast you've been putting off? Or simply an opportunity to breathe and appreciate the moment? Suddenly, the traffic jam isn't so infuriating anymore. Seneca's approach towards anger was rooted in understanding and acceptance. He believed in understanding the nature of our anger, its source, and then accepting that some things are simply beyond our control. By doing so, we can transform a potentially destructive emotion into a constructive tool for self-improvement. But this doesn't mean you should suppress your anger. Seneca never advocated for emotional suppression. Instead, he urged us to understand our anger, to dissect it, and to use our rational mind to navigate through it. In his wisdom, Seneca provides us a roadmap for managing anger. It's not about denying or suppressing our emotions, but about understanding them and adjusting our perspective. Seneca's wisdom serves as a timeless guide for managing anger. Marcus Aurelius, another influential Stoic philosopher, also had unique insights on dealing with anger. Marcus Aurelius, revered as the philosopher king, was a Stoic emperor who left behind a wealth of wisdom. His teachings, encapsulated in his personal writings known as meditations, have guided countless individuals through the ages. Among his many insights, his thoughts on anger management stand out, offering us a unique perspective on how to handle rage. Aurelius believed that anger is not an inevitable response but a choice. He said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." What this means is that we control our reactions, even when we don't control what happens to us. Imagine a cup of boiling water. If you were to touch it, you'd immediately pull back your hand, feeling the sharp sting of the heat. That's a natural, instinctive reaction, and it's hardwired into us. But emotional reactions like anger aren't the same. They're not automatic. They're choices we make, and Marcus Aurelius taught us that we can choose differently. Aurelius also held that our anger often comes from our judgments and assumptions, not from the events themselves. He wrote, "If you are pained by external things, it is not they that disturb you, but your own judgment of them. And it is in your power to wipe out that judgment now." In other words, it's not the traffic that makes us angry, but our belief that it shouldn't be there. In essence, Aurelius's teachings boil down to this: our reactions are within our control. We can choose not to be angry. We can choose to see things differently, to let go of our judgments and assumptions, and to respond with patience and understanding instead of rage. And in making that choice, we don't just manage our anger, we transform it. We turn it from a destructive force into a constructive one, a tool for personal growth and understanding. Aurelius's teachings remind us that we are in control of our reactions. So, how can we apply the wisdom of these Stoic philosophers to transform our anger into positivity? Firstly, let's talk about adjusting our expectations. The Stoics believed that much of our anger stems from our expectations not being met. They suggested that we should anticipate the possibility of things not going as planned. This is not about being pessimistic, rather it's about being prepared for the vagaries of life. If we expect that people or circumstances may let us down, we're less likely to be thrown off balance when it happens. Now on to practicing mindfulness. Mindfulness is a concept that has been embraced by many, but it's at the heart of Stoic philosophy. It's about living in the present and acknowledging our emotions without letting them control us. When we feel anger bubbling up, instead of acting on it impulsively, we should step back, observe it without judgment, and let it pass. By doing so, we can prevent anger from clouding our judgment and leading us to rash decisions. Lastly, let's discuss reacting differently to triggering events. The Stoics asserted that we don't have control over external events, but we do have control over how we respond to them. When something triggers our anger, instead of reacting in the heat of the moment, we can choose to respond with patience and understanding. We can take a moment to process the situation, think about why it's making us angry, and decide on the best course of action. This gives us the power to turn a potentially negative situation into a positive one. In essence, Stoic philosophy encourages us to take a step back, analyze our feelings, and respond rather than react. It teaches us that we have the power to shape our emotional responses and that anger, if managed wisely, can be a catalyst for positive change. Remember, it's not the events themselves that disturb us, but our interpretation of those events. And when we change our perspective, we can change our emotional response. The power to transform anger into positivity lies within us. Transforming anger into positivity can have profound effects on our lives. Friends, we've journeyed through the wisdom of the Stoics, the principles of Marcus Aurelius, and Seneca's unique approach to anger. Now we delve into the remarkable benefits that positive anger can bring to our lives. Positive anger, you ask? Yes, indeed. It's not the rage that consumes us, but the fire that fuels us. It's the spark that ignites change, the catalyst for personal growth. Let's start with relationships. When we transform anger into positivity, we can communicate our feelings more effectively. We're not just venting, we're expressing what we need and what we expect. This level of honesty can lead to deeper understanding, strengthening the bonds we share with others. Next, consider motivation. Anger, when directed properly, can be a powerful motivator. It can spur us to confront injustices, to challenge the status quo, to strive for better. It's the fuel that keeps us fighting when we'd otherwise give in. But there's more. Positive anger can enhance our problem-solving abilities. Faced with a challenge, anger can provide the determination to persist, to dig deeper, to find a solution where others see only obstacles. Think about it. Anger signals that something isn't quite right. It's a call to action, a wake-up call to change what we can and accept what we can't. It's a sign that we care deeply about something and that passion can lead us to remarkable achievements. Is it easy? No. Transforming anger into positivity is a journey, not a destination. It's a process of self-discovery, of learning how to channel our emotions in ways that construct rather than destruct. But as the Stoics showed us, it's a journey worth undertaking. Remember, anger isn't inherently bad, it's how we respond to it that matters. So let's not fear anger, but embrace it. Let's harness its power for good, for growth, for change. And in doing so, let's transform not just ourselves, but the world around us. Harnessing the power of anger can lead to a happier, more fulfilling life. So let's start today. In conclusion, anger doesn't have to be a destructive force in our lives. Instead, we can harness this powerful emotion, channeling it towards growth and betterment. This is the essence of the Stoic philosophy we've been exploring. Let's take a moment to reflect on the key insights we've covered. We started by acknowledging the raw power of anger. It's a potent emotion capable of driving us to act, but equally capable of leading us astray. It's a double-edged sword, but one that can be wielded with wisdom and control. The wisdom of the Stoic philosophers offers us guidance here. They recognize the dangers of uncontrolled anger, but also its potential. Seneca, a prominent Stoic philosopher, proposed an approach to anger that involved understanding and managing our reactions. He advised us to step back, to examine our anger and its causes, and to redirect it towards constructive ends. Marcus Aurelius, another prominent Stoic, echoed this sentiment. He taught us that our anger is often a response to our perceptions, and by changing our perceptions, we can change our emotional reactions. He encouraged us to see the world as it is, rather than how we might want it to be, and to react with calm and rationality. We've also discussed the transformation of anger into positivity. This isn't about suppressing or denying our anger, but rather about redirecting it. It's about using our anger as a catalyst for positive change, for self-improvement, and for the betterment of our relationships and our world. The benefits of positive anger are manifold. It can drive us to overcome obstacles, to stand up for what's right, and to strive for excellence. It can fuel our motivation and our creativity, giving us the energy and the passion we need to achieve our goals. Remember, like the Stoic philosophers, you too have the power to harness your fury and transform it into positivity. If you appreciate these insights and want to continue exploring Stoic wisdom, please like, share, and subscribe. Stay Stoic and connected on this journey of inner growth.